They might can have a car. They want to get in that car about lunchtime and go get a job. And they want a diploma. And a lot of times we do not let kids get diplomas because they can't pass Math 4. Well, when are you going to use Math 4 if all you want to be is a welder in society and own a business? I'm going to be a millionaire because I own a welding business and 3 other subsidiaries, but I did not graduate from high school. Why? Because we are not thinking the right way, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to let these kids graduate, be proud of that high school diploma. It might be the only one they have. When you go in their office and they own 7 plumbing companies, and guess what? They own you. Okay? And so yes, we need a technical diploma, and we need to get these kids out early and make them feel good about themselves and good about life.
All right, we are at 8:45, so this will be our final question before our closing statements. This will start with Nancy. A lot has been said about attracting great teachers, but what are your plans for the other 50% of the state employees, such as the support staff and the non-certified people, such as bus drivers, lunchroom attendants, janitorial, parapros? They also teach our children.
They do, and I'm the daughter of one of them. My mother is retired from the Muskogee County School District, where she worked in many capacities as a paraprofessional and in other capacities. So I'm a testament to that. She's a teacher. She was a fabulous teacher. And in fact, I'll tell you a little bit about that. She worked at a Title I school that was not air conditioned. And we lived not on the side of town where that school was. But she took me there every day. And so I went to a Title I school for elementary school, not in my neighborhood, with a completely different community. And I know firsthand what goes on in some of these schools with our vulnerable, most vulnerable populations. And my mother was a mentor to parents in that community. My mother was a teacher to children in that community. She was a friend and advocate of all the folks that worked at that school system, or at that school and in the school system. And so I know firsthand, and my mother right now is taking care of my children, so I'm going to go back home and I'm going to talk to her. And I know firsthand that those people are of huge value to our districts, and I think we don't do right by them. I don't think that we give them the respect they need, and that's also true for teachers. I think we totally need to elevate the teaching status. I wrote a blog about that called The Teaching Firm, and I encourage everyone to go read that. And the same is true with all the folks that teach our children and care for our children, especially our most vulnerable children and our youngest children. Again, my mother is that person, so no one feels that obligation stronger than I do. And I will elevate all the professionals in our state, in our districts. I feel that very strongly. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard.
Again, coming from, I guess, a coaching background, you know, these people are essential team members. They may not have the big highlight. They get a lot of the accolades that they definitely well deserve. You know, for myself as an administrator, there were many a day that I had to break down and work in the elementary school and serve in the food line. And so I saw, firsthand what these people did. You know, there were days in which I had to ride on the bus with our bus drivers, or had to watch tapes in which to see what actually went on a bus. Or there were days that I had to go down, and when a teacher was sick, where a paraprofessional basically, took the job over and ran the classroom, and very efficiently. So these individuals are definitely, are worth their salt. But it does mean treating them with respect. And I think that, that begins, definitely at the site level, but also for myself as being, a next state school superintendent, it's setting the tone and it's letting them know that they are appreciated. And I think one of the ways we can look at making sure they are appreciated is probably addressing something that's very dear to them. That many of these people, they get into it just for some of the benefits, the health benefits. And what you find across the board is that the way that we have done with our health, and especially the concerns we've had, we have done these people a disservice. And so we have to ensure that what benefits we do give them, that we meet them, that we are not taking money out of their pocket where day in and day out it becomes more of a burden, that, I'm coming here making less, I'm getting less, and I have less respect. So let's look at what we are offering our specialty people in this area, treat them with respect, give them the benefits that they need, so that they can, provide and help provide for their family. Because they're there for a reason, and they're there to help us out. But anytime that we have a weak link, it hurts education across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Cherokee.
Having been a teacher in an elementary school, the custodian is so important because they're not just the custodian, they interact with the kids too and the teachers. And we all know that the school secretary really pretty much runs the school anyway, right? So on the Fayette County School Board, it was presented to us because of Obamacare to start outsourcing the custodians. And that would just put, people between the custodians and the rest of the staff. And so I didn't vote for that. I didn't want to do that because those people are staff members just like everybody else, and they're very important. Also, another group that we need to consider are the army of moms and dads and community members and volunteers that come into the school. And those people are so important because they're the ones that give up their time to come in and help out. And I think we need to maximize that to increase our student achievement. If parents are there, achievement goes up. And the more volunteers we have, the better.
Thank you. Kira?
In January, we had a small snowstorm. I don't know if y'all remember it. But I say opportunity, and I'm going to say that again. I had the opportunity to spend the night with 500 high school children. And it was an opportunity because I got to see the professionals within our schools do their thing. And it was absolutely amazing to watch. Our bus drivers, ladies and gentlemen, were the true heroes of that evening, and we need to give them a round of applause. God love them. We had a bus driver come in after finally getting one group of students home, couldn't do anything else. She hoofed it back to the school and got in line and helped make breakfast for our students the next morning. Our school secretary did not leave her desk from the time we started calling off school until 1:30 in the morning when she walked to walk home, and she could. So I think what we need to remember, and Mary Kay, I agree with you, the custodians and the secretaries run the school. They are the backbone of the school, and they need to be treated as such. We need to make sure that we take care of our professionals, we need to take care of our bus drivers, we need to take care of our custodians, and we absolutely need to take care of our parapros and our secretaries. And that starts with teachers, and that starts with the administration, and it starts with the community. We have to respect them, we have to treat them as equals, and we have to treat them as professionals in their job, whatever that job may be.
I was taught at a very young age that everybody counts. From the bottom to the top. Everyone's part of the team. Everybody deserves the respect that they earn. And when you talk about the bus drivers and the secretaries and the folks, you need to treat them as part of the team. They need to be rewarded when they do well, and they need to be disciplined when they don't do well. We have to make sure that they are feeling like, they interact with our kids as much as any of us. And we want to make sure that they're part of it. They understand their role. They're trained. They understand if we have safety, if we have safety issues. They understand how to evacuate a building, or they understand how to help when it's needed. So I would just say is, look, treat them with respect and treat them as part of your team, and bring them into the fold to make sure that we're all moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. It's not that I'm not listening to you, but by the time that comes to my turn, I think everybody's answered a different question.
Gotcha.
Could you repeat it again?
I sure could.
Thank you.
A lot has been said about attracting great teachers. What are your plans for the other 50% of the state employees, the support staff, the non-certified people such as bus drivers, lunchroom employees, janitorial staff, parapros? They also teach our children.
And how to attract them? Is that?
I think it's, what are your plans for the other of these people?
you know, really those people are hired at the local level by the local county systems. But I went to some listening sessions earlier this year with the House and Senate reps that went out. And when they talked to superintendents at the different systems, they kept coming up about teacher pay raises. If the state mandates a teacher raise, then all of a sudden you've got these bus drivers and people back at the school that may not get that. Let's say it's a 3% or, you know, if it's higher. And so that puts a burden, a financial burden on the local system to try to match those salary increases for all these other staff members that we're talking about. So respecting them all day long, that's great. And I think at our school we certainly do. But I think what we really don't have is a financial promise to them. What I heard the superintendent say, that therefore, instead of mandating a teacher raise, that they would rather have the money sent to the district, that they could then allocate it to the bus drivers and the teachers equally across the board, and it wouldn't be just the teachers. Now, some counties make that up and give the increments out of their own funding, the property tax and whatever, but some of these smaller counties that we referred to tonight don't have that money. So that's what I heard them saying at these listening sessions, that these employees sometimes are underpaid just because the state money isn't really relegated to them, it's the local money, and there is a disparity. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you go to the DOE website and you look on the allotment sheet, you will find that, and you go back about 5 or 6 or 10 years, you will find that the transportation line on your local allotment sheet is probably the same thing it was 10, 15 years ago. It's amazing. I know mine is. It's been the same thing 3 or 4 years ago. So the pay from the DOE, from the state, and remember, DOE gets this money from the legislature. DOE doesn't go to a magic pot and open it up and get money. It comes from the legislature. And when we figure the budget, then we need to go in and figure out how we can support our support personnel. Okay? Who's the first person a child sees in the morning for 50% of the students in this state? The bus driver. Who makes sure that when we went back to school that Friday after Snowmageddon, that the school was warm? Custodians. Who, as we talk about special needs child, and I have a grandchild that is one, who has to take care of that child during the day? The parapro. These are the most special people in the world. They are support, kind of like a foundation. They support the walls and the roof of the school. They make sure that the child gets there, gets to school and home safe each and every day. They make sure the school is clean and warm or cool. They make sure that these children are taken care of and given extra and supplemental care. And we need to figure out a way to pay these people more money. Now, a lot of it deals with the health insurance, and that's something that we've got to figure out. But these are important people. I always say that even as a superintendent, I tell my bus drivers, my custodians, my secretary, my parapros this. I said, let me tell you, you know what the difference is between me and you? Nothing. We belong to the children of this school. We belong to the children of this system. We're equal in their child raising.
Fitz, I see what you mean. It is tough to go last. You know, for me, it's personal and it's biblical. You follow the golden rule. You treat other people the way that you want to be treated. Every member of that faculty and staff, from the bus driver, the custodian, to the lunchroom workers, they're all vital members of the family in a given school. And they need to be given the respect and the compensation that they are due. That curriculum of life that I'm talking about, you know who teaches a lot of those lessons? Lunchroom ladies, the custodians, the secretaries. They're all teaching those lessons in life. You don't think the bus drivers hear and see a lot going on those buses and how they respond to what they see and hear? I'm telling you, they are absolutely essential to us doing the job that we need to do. And we should always, always give them the respect that they do and treat them the exact same way that we would like to be treated. It is on us to make sure that we can meet their needs. And we've got to find a way within that package to make sure that they get the benefits, because they're not doing it for the salary. I'm telling you, that benefit package is absolutely essential, and local districts have been burdened with trying to maintain the cost of escalating health insurance costs, quite frankly. So we've got to find a way to try to assist with that.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin our final statements. We're going to start on the opposite end of the podium. So Mary Kay, you'll be first, and we'll come over to the left.
Oh, okay. I would like for you to vote for me, Mary Kay Bacalhau, for state school superintendent, because I can fix these problems. I've had over 25 years in education, starting from when I graduated in teacher education, before I was even 20 years old. And I know the answers, and it's so hard to know the answers, and I went to 6 out of the 8 listening sessions, and just trying to, tell everyone, well, if we just do this, it will, all these problems, we can fix them. And I would like to have that opportunity to fix these problems. And I've seen it from so many different levels. I've been at the national math conferences, at the national science conferences, the educational technology conferences. There are all these grants from the U.S. Department of Education. I have a vast array of knowledge, especially in assessment and testing, school law, standards. I can fix all of this, and I hope you just give me the chance to do it. My main thing is returning control to the people who have the most responsibility for the kids, and those are the parents and the teachers, letting them do what they know to do and not hindering them with so many burdensome requirements. So academic freedom, Dr. Mary Kay Bacalhau, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, each and every one of you for coming out tonight. Again, as I began my message this evening, it's personal. And, we can talk about graduation rates, we can talk about dropout rates, we can talk about, funding and things of this nature. But at the end of the day, you as a parent, you're just concerned about, did my child receive an education that will give them the opportunity to succeed in life. But one of the things I bring to this table is that for 22 years, I did work in the Irwin County school system. 14 years, I was a high school social studies teacher. 8 years in administration. I've been working as an assistant principal, K-5 curriculum director, hospital homebound, homeschool system director, pre-K principal, and middle school, high school, principal over alternative school. So I've walked and been where your kids walk each and every day. That's because I've worked in the school each and every day. And I think that as we look into what we are implementing in Georgia, we just have to make sure that our standards are will help us achieve their dreams and their opportunity. We have to give our teachers, once again, the opportunity to close their door and teach. And that means that we don't teach to the test, we teach to the child. It means we cut out, paperwork, data collecting, and excessive testing, so they can work with our kids day in and day out. One of the things I think we have to have a mindset, in this position is never forget what it's like to be a teacher. Never forget what it's like to be a student, because that allows us to prioritize. And we have to make sure that when we prioritize, that we are focusing on the children. The children's all it's about. If we don't succeed with them, we don't succeed at all. So we have to make sure that our focus and emphasis is on this. I would appreciate your vote. Again, please check my campaign out at woodsforsuper.com. Thank you very much.
Nancy?
Thank you for coming tonight. It was really my pleasure to be here. I hope that when you reflect back on tonight, you think about the level of detail that I gave you and the specificity of my plan. It attacks the structural problems that we have, and it's the only plan that does so. It's researched, it follows best practices. This is, again, the job loss chart. There's only one state that borders us that is doing worse than us, and that's Tennessee. I don't know for how long they will do worse than us, because they've gotten serious about education there. And they've tackled a number of reforms that we have yet to do. And so they're getting ahead of us, and their achievement levels are showing that. So when you reflect back on tonight, remember, Nancy's focused. She's focused on Georgia, and she's got the plan to fix things. If we were following the golden rule, if we cared about students, if we cared about kids, if we cared about teachers, we would be in a different place. So we can say a lot of things, but where we are, what we can measure, that's telling us a different story. So remember, financial accountability and integrity. There are good systems in place. We need to adopt them. Opportunities and choices. Parents are the arbiters of what's good for their children, and we need to respect that. Consequences for failure at the bureaucratic district level. We need that. We need an upgraded funding formula, and I want to work with the legislature to get that. And we need to reject Common Core in favor of common sense. So I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope you'll check out my campaign, nancyjester.com, and also do the text and get on my mailing list. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Mike?
You know, I'm not a politician, and after tonight, I know why. I'm an educator, and I'm a parent. And I think I want what most parents want. I want a safe and orderly school environment. When I drop my kids off in the morning, I expect to get them back in at least the same condition that I dropped them off. I'm no different than any other parent. Everybody wants a safe, orderly environment. I want a world-class educational system. Listen, I'm so competitive, it hurts. At Rome High School, if there was a Tiddlywinks competition, I wanted to be the Tiddlywinks champion of the world. I want us to lead the nation in student achievement. I want to know that my kids are going to be educated by caring adults, people dedicated to them. I think every parent wants a teacher that they know will treat their children as they do their own. And frankly, I think we've got a lot of them. Now, you know, you've heard a lot about the sins of education in Georgia. And just because you say it and repeat it and it gets louder and you can refer to various pieces of rhetoric, doesn't necessarily make it so. I can tell you some metrics, concrete metrics, where Georgia is doing a good job. We haven't hit it out of the park. We got plenty of room to improve. But Education Week, national publication, one of the most respected out there, recently, 2013, ranked Georgia #1 in connecting early learning to K-12 education to post-secondary and the world of work. #1. In 2012, real metrics, national assessments that are given across the country, the SAT, the ACT, the NAEP, reading, math, science, and advanced placement exams. You know how many states in the country went up in each of those 5 assessments? There was one that went up in every one of those statements. It was Georgia. So I'm tired of public education in Georgia taking a beating. We got room to improve. I fully acknowledge it. But if you're going to tell the story, tell the whole story.
Thank you.
When in the course of human events, that's probably the most famous few words, probably the most famous document in the United States, the Declaration of Independence. Very few people or events can change history. There are a lot of history makers in the world. Abraham Lincoln was one. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, they were history makers because they signed this document. Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton, they signed the bottom of the Declaration of Independence to declare ourselves free. That was an event-changing, history-making thing that happened. So there's very few things that change the course of history. Ladies and gentlemen, May 20th and then November 7th, I believe, you can change history in the state of Georgia. You can elect someone who can reinvent education because he knows education. He's been around the block. He has a lot of knowledge and experience, and he is willing to reinvent education in the state of Georgia. There's a lot of negativity being said tonight. Why do we want to leave the state? Why do we want to leave this education of this state and be negative about it? Why do I want to talk about my warts when I can talk about my beauty? I can talk about my bald head, but I'm going to talk about what I know in education. Because we've got to be positive, because the leader of the state education department has to be the most positive person in this state. He or is the PR person. He is who goes from Camden County to Dade County, from Raven County to Seminole County, and speaks the truth about the State Department of Education and the state of education in Georgia. And I believe we've got a pretty darn good one. A lot of you are products of this system. A lot of you have children in this system. And so you need a leader in the State Department of Education. And Alan Ford will be that leader in the State Department of Education.
Thank you. You know, when I go to vote for a candidate myself, I always think it's a job interview, so I always want to look at their resume and ask them lots of questions, which you've done tonight. One question that employers sometimes ask me is, what's your biggest strength? What's your biggest weakness? And, you know, it's interesting over the years of being in management, I've come to the conclusion that one unique strength I do have is when I'm willing to make the tough decision in a room full of people that may not like that decision and stand there and defend that decision. And I think that's what you need to break up a bureaucracy, that going along to get along is not what's needed at this point. I'm not an educrat, I just represent parents, I represent taxpayers, and I think that that's probably a good place to be from, to question what's been going on. I like your idea of a top-down audit, to see there are 300 people in the building, 300 outside. There's billions of dollars, not millions. How's it being spent? In the real, I should say the real world, in the business world, you set a goal, you set a deadline, and you set a measurable standard by which you achieve. And I'm not talking about the kids anymore or the teachers, I'm talking about the DOE. We have to be accountable and say, this will be done by this date with this amount of budget, and we'll know if we failed. And each employee needs to have that in front of them. But if you don't perform, the rumors I've heard are astounding of how bloated the bureaucracy is. And I would like to get in there and see what can be done. I have a track record of being efficient, cutting budgets, and getting productivity out of different departments. So again, my name's Cheryl Dawes, and I'd like your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out tonight. It really shows your passion for education. And, you know, I will agree with Mike and Alan over there said, I'm a bit of an optimist as well. You know, I think we're doing some great things with education here in the state of Georgia. Can we do better? Sure we can. Do we want to be world class? Absolutely. As I told you about my background when we started, you know, I've managed 1,700 employees. I understand to instill culture. And I think when we talk about the DOE, we want to improve and we want to make sure that the culture of the DOE is service. We work for you guys. We work for the districts out there. And we got to keep in mind when we're answering our phones and we're making decisions that it is about the students. This is not about Fitz Johnson. It's not about everybody working in the DOE. It is about our students. And if we think our students first, every time we decide, every decision that we make, if we take ourselves out of it and say, what is it going to do for our students? I think you're going to get a good result. I think you're going to get a culture at the DOE of giving and a culture of service to you. Now again, I appreciate you coming out tonight. I have my full Achieve More plan on my website, fitzjohnson.us, and I hope you would take a look. I appreciate your prayers as I go through this, as we all go through this. We appreciate your prayers, and I ask for your vote on May 20th. Thank you so much.
We've had a lot of answers as how to improve education in Georgia, but what we haven't really focused on again is what the purpose of public education in Georgia is. No one's really articulated that tonight, except for me. It's to graduate self-sufficient, independent individuals who can compete in the American marketplace and in the world marketplace. And we have to make sure that we are doing that by what's best for children. We need someone who can go in there, who knows the implication of legislation on schools directly. I'm the only one of these candidates who are still in the schools and understands what these laws are doing to our children and what these laws are doing to our communities. We have to be very, very wary of accepting any new legislation. And while we're doing that, the only question that we need to be asking while we are there is, Is this what's best for children? And if the answer is, I'm not sure, or no, but it's over here, it's good for this group of people, then the answer is no, and we stop doing what we're doing. We have got to do what's best for children. We have to ask that question daily. We have to ask that question hourly. We have to look at the State Board of Education as not its own fiefdom, because it's not. We have to work with the governor, who is really the CEO of education. We have to work with the legislature, which is really the CFO of education. And then you have the state school superintendent who goes in there, and she is the one who makes sure that everybody plays nicely together and everybody holds hands and makes sure that they're all asking that same question. Is this in the best interest of Georgia's children? My name is Kira Willis. I'd appreciate your vote. You can check me out at kirawillis.com. Thank you all.
Thank you all. If you would all please join me in a round of applause thanking the candidates for here tonight. And also, thank you to all of you for coming out. Thank you for your interest in our forums. Thank you for your interest in education. We appreciate you being here. Our forum is concluded for the evening. Thanks for being here.